There's a reason you can earn more every year and still feel just as broke. The money isn't being stolen, it's leaking through 7 traps engineered to feel completely normal. Here's the thing nobody really talks about. Most people aren't broke because they earn too little. They're broke because money keeps slipping out of their accounts through traps that are designed to feel completely normal. I'm Grace, and today we're walking through 7 of the most expensive ones. By the end, you'll start seeing your own spending very differently. Let's start with the fastest growing payment habit of the decade. Buy now, pay later. Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, that little button at checkout that says split into 4 payments. Americans put an estimated $116.7 billion through these services in 2025. That's roughly 7 times what it was in 2020. And here's the early warning sign regulators are watching. 47% of users say they paid late in the past year, up from 34% just 2 years ago. The product hasn't gotten more expensive. The behavior around it has changed. Here's the trap. When something costs $100, but your brain only sees 25 today, the pain of spending almost disappears, so you buy more. Then you sign up for another one, and another. 66% of users have multiple BNPL loans running at the same time. 31% say they've completely lost track of what they owe. And the real warning sign? 25% are now using it to buy groceries, up from 14% just a year ago. This isn't affordability, it's the illusion of it. 4 payments, 4 dates, 4 different cards, and no mental picture of what you actually owe. Trap number 2, subscriptions. $8 here, $12 there, a cloud plan, a gym you haven't seen since February. Each one feels cheap on its own. But when researchers actually add them up, the average American spends $219 a month across roughly 8 services, and estimates it's 86. That's a 2.5 times perception gap. And here's what really stings. If you took just $200 a month of recurring junk and redirected it into a broad market index fund earning around 7% a year, over 20 years, that becomes about $168,000. That's not a subscription. That's a down payment you're quietly gifting to other companies. Spending has never been easier. A tap, a face scan, done. And when friction disappears, so does the decision. Trap number 3, lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, and almost automatically, the apartment gets upgraded, the car gets upgraded, the takeout habit gets upgraded. Income goes up by 1,000, expenses go up by 1,000. Your savings line hasn't moved 1 single cent. You feel wealthier, but financially, nothing has actually changed. This is the reason 36% of households earning more than $100,000 a year still say they're living paycheck to check. Wealth doesn't come from earning more. It comes from keeping more of what you earn. And if your lifestyle climbs every time your income does, there's never anything left to keep. Trap number 4, the convenience premium. A 2025 study placed identical McDonald's orders across the country. Pickup average, $36.95. Delivered through the apps, $57.87. That's roughly a 57% markup before you tip. And the average American now spends around $1,850 a year on food delivery alone. The problem isn't the occasional order, it's when convenience quietly becomes the default. Once it stops being a treat and starts being every Tuesday, you haven't bought convenience, you've quietly raised your cost of living. Trap number 5, the minimum payment. Americans now owe a record $1.28 trillion on credit cards. The average APR on cards that carry a balance is around 21%. Here's what that actually means. A $6,500 balance at the minimum payment takes more than 18 years to pay off and costs over $9,000 in interest. That's not a credit line. That's a subscription to your own past purchases. Every swipe you can't pay off in full is borrowing from your future paycheck, with rent attached.
Trap number 6. Cheap decisions that quietly cost more. Buying the $20 version 4 times is not a bargain. It's a recurring expense dressed up as a one-time purchase.
Fast fashion, cheap electronics, flat pack furniture that wobbles by month 6. The upfront price is lower. The total cost, almost always, is higher. Trap number 7, and this might be the most expensive one on the list: comparison. Every hour, billions of people scroll feeds that serve them the most aspirational footage an algorithm can find: the cars, the trips, the restaurants, the outfits. And without noticing, that becomes your reference point for what normal looks like. Here's what rarely gets mentioned. A big chunk of the people living that lifestyle on screen are financing it with debt. What you're watching isn't wealth. It's a performance of wealth, often sponsored by a credit card.
But here's the bonus trap, and it's the one that costs you the most while feeling like it costs you nothing: waiting. Delaying investing feels completely painless. You're not spending money on anything silly, you're just waiting until life feels more stable. The problem is, later is a moving target. Look at this. $100 a month invested from age 25, earning roughly 7%, grows to about $584,000 by 65. Start just 10 years later, and you end up with about $217,000. Same contribution, same return. A $367,000 gap created entirely by waiting. Time is the one thing compounding runs on, and it's the one thing you can't buy back.
Every month you wait, the sand doesn't just move, it's gone.
Here's the bigger picture. Every one of these traps lives inside a system that is actively designed to pull money out of you. Checkout pages, push notifications, auto renewals, feeds that surface the most envy-inducing content possible, none of that is an accident. It's the business model, which is why the U.S. personal savings rate today sits around 4.5%, compared to a long-run average above 8%. Saving and investing aren't the path of least resistance anymore. They're the path you have to choose, again and again, against everything pushing you the other way. Here's what I want you to take away. You don't fix this with a spreadsheet or a budgeting app. You fix it by seeing the traps for what they are, because once you see them, they lose most of their power. You don't need to cut everything. Just pick the one on this list that's costing you the most right now, and close that leak this week. Which trap is doing the most damage in your life? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to know. Hit like if this was useful, subscribe for the next one, and I'll see you in the next video.